Hey everybody, Dave Neal here, stand-up comedian and host of Bachelor Recap, a Guy's Review. As you know, I've been following the Cassie Randolph and Colton Underwood situation. They were set to go to court today, October 6, 2020. She filed for a temporary restraining order against Colton Underwood after receiving harassing text messages and found a tracking device planted on her car. And he, of course, has his day in court. After a month-long temporary restraining order, today was to be the day that the judge decides whether or not she will get a 1 to 5 year restraining order against Colton or drop the charges. We were wondering if she was going to show up, if he was going to show up, and all this news. Well, it just broke that they extended the temporary restraining order 1 month till November. So as much as we wanted this situation to be over, it is not. The video I released a couple hours ago showed that she actually filed a police report, which now makes this a completely different matter, not just a restraining order, but actually he could be charged with a misdemeanor offense by placing a tracking device on her car. In order for her to prove that, she'd have to find out that he actually placed the device, which he has admitted to in person. So anyway, let's just go through this. Cassie Randolph's temporary restraining order against Colton Underwood has been extended. During a hearing on Tuesday, Underwood's attorney requested that the temporary restraining order be extended until the next hearing, which is scheduled for November 6th, a request that the judge granted. Why they're putting this off, I'm not sure. It could have something to do with the fact that she filed for the police report yesterday. So rather than perjure himself, they're trying to get all their ducks in a row, as it were. Randolph was first granted a temporary domestic violence prevention restraining order against Underwood last month. This is where it gets interesting. A source close to the situation tells ET that Randolph and Underwood were ready to settle things privately, but Randolph has been indecisive in the legal process. The source says both parties are speaking through their lawyers. And then the source said it's all a little confusing because Colton actually apologized to her before things were even made public. Oh, Colton apologized? Oh, cancel all of this nonsense. Oh, he tracked her, but he apologized. Well, we're not like 7 years old, but Mom, I apologized. This is a serious issue. This is a real serious issue. Who knows, honestly, the psychological damage that Cassie faces. I'm going to interject here with a quick story about why I talk about all this. I don't know for sure why I'm so interested in topics like this. I have always talked about codependency, my own issues with sort of love addiction. You know, everyone's been in a relationship where they became the needy one, where they were just like wanted to please the other person. It's not a great place to be. It's not good for your soul. But we've all dipped our toes in there. I don't think all of us have placed tracking devices in people's car and taken it to this level. People have gone to extremes with domestic violence where they've literally, killed themselves. I mean, let's jump over here. Someone in the comment section posted this, told me to look into this today. Former MLB pitcher Charles Hager wanted in connection with the shooting death of ex-girlfriend found dead. Hager, who pitched in the majors from 2006 to 2010, died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound after murdering his wife. People need help. They don't know how to get it. Especially in times of despair like this, global pandemic. There's a lot of mental health issues, and a lot of them stem from domestic problems. As I've mentioned in previous videos, you're more likely to be killed by someone you know than someone you don't. You're actually safer with a stranger than somebody that you love close to you. Of course, these are just because the stats of possessive people. You don't get possessed and obsessed with the random, dude at the grocery store. You do it with this thing you love because you're not taught to love right. You're bitter. You're taught to value them as a possession, something you must have. And if you can't have them, no one else deserves them. And another reason I talk about this is my mom went through this when she was pregnant with me. A whole 28 years ago, 35. A whole 35 years ago, my mom was pregnant with me, and she was married to my dad. And she left him because he was possessive. He suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder from Vietnam, and he actually died a couple years ago. And on the cause of his death was Agent Orange. So he really did suffer in a senseless war, and because of that, never was able to graduate from that 19-year-old self. And how sad that is. So we can't have empathy for the people that do have these mental problems, like Colton does. If you're going to be obsessive and track someone, you do have problems. So we can empathize with them, but we also have to empathize with the victims and protect the people that are, senselessly stalked, harassed, and abused. I didn't get to meet my dad till I was 20, and he was a nice guy, but he had issues, and I couldn't save him from those issues, and he eventually passed away and lived his whole life kind of battling those issues. So there's always two sides to a story, which a lot of commenters like to say. But, the The world is complicated. And one thing I think that we're doing that's a good thing with these videos is sort of deburdening ourselves from all of our own baloney. You know what I mean? A lot of commenters have had real issues with restraining orders. And just by talking about it, just by shining light into a dark area, we're deburdening. They say sunlight's the greatest disinfectant. So I encourage anyone to share whatever story you guys have. I'm here to listen. No one's perfect. We've all put ourselves into situations that are not good. But the idea as humans is to become a little bit more enlightened, to learn about our triggers before we get there. I'm addicted to sweets. So instead of looking at a cookie and deciding not to eat it, don't even go into the aisle. You know what I mean? So for Colton, he's got to figure out what the triggers are to his obsessive, love-addicted tendencies and really address the root cause. I don't know if he's there yet. He still wants to work things out. So they said in the meantime, lawyers for both Randolph and Underwood said that the former couple is trying to work out their problems amicably and will contact the court if they are able to do so before the scheduled court date. My thought is that they're not going to work this out before the court date. I also thought that nothing was going to happen today. And of course, the lawyers postponed meeting up today. On Tuesday, TMZ released a statement from Randolph's attorney, Brian Friedman, regarding the former reality star going to the police. It was her intention to first try and work through this process privately in a manner that gives both her and Colton safety, security, and respect. We are confident this is possible. So this is a full no contact. Cassie's not talking to Colton. All Colton wants, as it seems, is to get on the phone, talk to her. He's been able to talk his way out of things before, as we know. He talked his way out of her leaving The Bachelor. He talked his way out of a lot of things. But, like they like to say, you can't bench press your way out of this one, bro. Let the court settle it. She's in full no contact. And sometimes that's where you have to go. You have to cut ties. And you have to just, set up a paper trail to acknowledge the abuse, which is probably why she filed yesterday, the police report. So now it's up to the police to start looking into the tracking device. She had her private investigator do it, but now the police can use the full power that they have to decide if they're going to prosecute Colton for placing a tracking device against her, which in penal code, whatever it is, says you can't place a tracking device on another person. You can only place a tracking device on a car that you own. In this case, he placed it on his ex-girlfriend and he sent her harassing text messages. No one deserves that. No one deserves that. We should be better than that as humans. And if Colton isn't learning his lesson, if he still thinks he can talk his way out of it, well, I have news for him. You can serve up to 364 days in prison for a misdemeanor like this. And I'm not saying they should make an example out of him. I think we're already doing that. We're making an example out of somebody who's lost their mind and they've cast a wake that is affecting other people. I'll leave you with this thought. I'll leave you with this thought. I heard of something recently where they said if women could be granted one power for a day, what would it be? And you know what one of the comments was? One of the comments from a lady, anonymous lady, was, I want the superpower to walk at night and not be afraid. And that's something, man, if we want to empathize, we'll never understand. We'll never understand what it's like to walk from our car to our apartment and not be afraid. Not have to think about what's over our shoulder. Wonder if we have pepper spray in our purse, get our, keys between our fingers. That's not a way we should be living in our country or any country. So we can do better. And as far as updates go, hopefully you guys understand why I've been making these videos. It's been a weird year for sure. It's been a weird year. I wish I could just be doing comedy, stand up somewhere, but we're just reporting the news, and that's my opinion on it. And I appreciate all you guys that have followed along. Obviously, it's resonated with a bunch of you. And if you like this content, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment. I'm here to talk. And if you want something lighter, got stand-up comedy videos. I host a podcast with my fiance called The Sap. That's all on YouTube and podcast apps. And next week, we'll be starting the Bachelorette recaps, where I try to have a little bit more lightheartedness, where I make fun of the dudes and all the random irreverent humor that I see on the show. So anyway, we'll see you next time for further updates. Stay tuned. Bye, guys.